Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of The Fishing Teacher, and much appreciated you guys checking today's video out and spending some time with me. Really appreciate that. And guys, today I'm going to show you what I call the Tidbit swim bait. Sort of give you guys some tips and advice on how to set it up and where you want to fish it at. This is a really good technique when those bass are finicky and hard to catch with the swim jig. So I think it's going to be a really good tip to add to your arsenal in today's video. I think you guys will really like it. Also, guys, just a quick invitation. I'd like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance, to please consider subscribing here to The Fishing Teacher. We're really working hard to try to hit that 20,000 subscriber mark, free and easy if you just hit that button. And also, I'll include my fall Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns in the description of this video. If you guys are wanting to get some good fishing spots for your favorite some fall fishing trips you got coming up, it's a really good resource to find some good places on a lake that you know a little bit about, but you want to know more about, or a lake you've never been into. So Fish the Moment lake map breakdown, link in the description of this video. Okay guys, swim jigs, man, it's one of the funnest ways to catch fish. If you guys are not familiar with a swim jig, I know we're trying to keep it sort of basic here on The Fishing Teacher, but a swim jig is a little bit different than a traditional jig, because let me show you the difference here. This is my Block It throwback jig here, and this is a Megabass Uzo Swimmer swim jig on the left. Now the difference is, like I said, the head design is completely different. The swim jig has more of an inline, like the Megabass Uzo jig head. It's got more of a fine wire hook. It's got a finer weed guard. It's got a little spinner on the end for extra attractant. And also, guys, I'll put the Uzo swim jig in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to try one. But this is just a really light, finesse jig that's designed to be swim through the water column. You know, jigs, traditional jigs like the jig I design are designed to be fished on the bottom, but the head design on the Uzo Swimmer is designed to just come through the water like a swim bait. So that's the main difference. But in the Tidbit deal I'm talking about, it involves downsizing your swim baits to almost a finesse level. Now this is the Megabass Uzo Swimmer in the 3/16 ounce. It's the lightest one they make. It's really a tiny little swim jig. And normally what I'll do, I'll show you how to modify this. I'll take it and I'll trim the skirt back pretty short, because you'll see when I put the trailer on there. And when you trim the skirt, guys, make sure that you trim it where it's sort of like different lengths. You don't want to just trim it off at the bottom and leave it uniform. Try to get some different strand lengths on there. And then the next thing is take this Zoom. This is a Zoom Z craw, and in the white, and I usually cut it right in half. Now the Z craw's got a little ribs on it. It's got a real good flapping action. So I usually cut it in half like that, and then sometimes I'll take the ribs off to make it a little bit more in line, since I'm trying to finesse it down. Just about like that. And then you're going to thread it on the Uzo Swimmer, and I may modify it a little bit, even take a little bit more plastic off it, depending. I'll set it good like that. But guys, look at that little tidbit right there. Actually, the skirt needs trimmed back just a little. You want to trim the skirt back short enough where it doesn't interfere with the legs flapping. But guys, look at that there. That's just a little bitty bite-sized morsel of a swim bait there. So this thing's only about 2 inches long. It's truly a finesse swim bait. Now, one of the reasons this thing works really good, like in the summertime of the year and the early fall, is that shad will spawn all summer long. So most of the time during the summer, the majority of the bigger population of threadfin or gizzard shad on a lake, they're tiny because they started spawning in May. And by the time the summer gets along, they may be this size or a little bit smaller. So the bait size in the fall and the late summertime is always smaller. That's why in general, your smaller lures work better in the late summer and early fall. That's one of the big reasons it works. But a couple different type of structures I do really good on this, anywhere between August and mid-September, is look for stained water boat docks. So if you have a lake that has boat docks in it and you have water visibility of like less than 2 foot, ideally I like water visibility of 12 to 15 inches. Swimming this little thing next to the boat docks, guys, is a killer technique. It's light enough where it'll skip, but what I like to do is I pull up to a boat dock and I sort of look to see where the shade is on the dock. Sometimes it's on the corners, sometimes it's on the front. Take the swim jig, the Uzo Swimmer, just pitch it out there as close to the dock as you can get. Try to get it like within inches of the dock and just slowly swim it, just maybe 6 inches to a foot under the water. Most of the time I'm fishing it like on that Megabass Perfect Pitch 7.2 bait cast rod with like 12 to 15 pound test Seaguar Vizex line. And sometimes I'll shake it. I'll throw it out there and just reel it and shake it a little bit. You know, try to get it just undulating a little bit. But they think it's a little shad swimming past that stained water boat dock. Another good place to fish it this time of year is if you have any type of shallow vegetation, like water willows that can have shallow lily pads, bulrushes, cattails, shallow milfoil, shallow hydrilla. If you've got some vegetation in some fairly stained water, like less than 2 foot visibility, and that vegetation is in less than like 3 foot of water, this is a deadly little bait for that, because those fish that are in that shallow grass in the summertime and the early fall, they're in there, but they're sluggish. They're not real aggressive, and they, you know, this is one of the best ways to get them to hit by a little finesse jig presentation. And finally, guys, one of the ways I've done really good on this, like specifically in the month of September, is if you can get out there right off the bat in the morning and you've got some riprap, dam riprap, bridge riprap between docks, it doesn't really matter, and cast a little this little Uzo Swimmer Tidbit right up on those rocks and parallel, right like that far off of the rocks, just parallel it, and it'll work anytime there's some shade on that riprap, especially again if you have some off-colored water. But it's just another little option for you. If you guys like to fish swim jigs, guys, try it. The 3/16 ounce Megabass Uzo Swimmer, Zoom Z craw on it, cut in half. It'll definitely get you some bites in tough conditions. So hope it helps out. We'll see you guys.